September 1st, 1939, 4:45 a.m. Before most of Europe even woke up, World War II had already begun. German troops surged across the Polish border. Stuka dive bombers screamed through the sky, shredding rail lines, bridges, and entire towns in minutes. It was fast, violent, and brutally coordinated. Nothing like the slow-moving wars Europe remembered. To the world watching, it felt like the map of Europe was being torn open overnight. To the Polish people, it was the beginning of a nightmare. Germany wasn't just invading Poland. They were unveiling a new style of warfare. Why Hitler attacked Poland? By 1939, Adolf Hitler believed Germany was destined to reclaim power and territory lost after World War I. The Treaty of Versailles had imposed harsh restrictions, and Hitler used this resentment to justify his ambitions. He wanted more land, more resources, and complete dominance of Central and Eastern Europe. Poland became the first major target. It occupied a strategic position between Germany and the Soviet Union, had valuable farmland and industrial regions, and was politically isolated. Hitler also believed Poland would be an easy victory that would shock Europe into accepting Germany's resurgence. Most importantly, Hitler expected Britain and France to avoid a real confrontation. Even though both nations promised to defend Poland, he assumed they would protest diplomatically but stop short of war. The attack begins. Just before dawn on September 1st, 1939, Germany unleashed a coordinated attack by land, air, and sea. The invasion began with a symbolic and brutal strike. The battleship Schleswig-Holstein fired on the Polish garrison at Westerplatte, marking the first shots of World War II. Within minutes, the sky filled with German aircraft targeting railways, communication centers, and military bases. On the ground, German tanks and mechanized infantry began pushing across the border with incredible speed. The Polish army fought bravely, but they were immediately put under immense pressure. Their defense relied heavily on infantry and cavalry, courageous units, but not equipped to counter tanks supported by fast-moving aircraft. Polish communication networks broke down within hours as the Luftwaffe destroyed telephone lines and radio towers. Roads became jammed with civilians fleeing the fighting, making it even harder for the military to move reinforcements. What shocked the world was the pace. The German army didn't attack in waves and reorganize. It attacked continuously day and night, using speed as its primary weapon, a style of warfare that Europe had never experienced before. Speed as a weapon. Germany's invasion of Poland showcased a new philosophy. Speed overwhelms strategy. Instead of slow, methodical advances, German units moved rapidly, often outrunning their own supply lines. Polish commanders frequently had no clear sense of where the front line actually was, because it shifted every hour. Reports came late or didn't arrive at all. German troops used Pervidin, a methamphetamine-based stimulant, to stay awake for long periods. Tank crews fought for days with barely any rest, pushing deeper into Poland while maintaining non-stop momentum. This chemical advantage helped fuel the early version of Blitzkrieg, not yet perfected, but already devastating. The goal was simple: move so fast that Poland couldn't regroup and Britain and France couldn't intervene in time. German armored divisions bypassed strong defenses, attacked weak points, and rushed toward major cities. The Luftwaffe supported them by bombing roads, bridges, and retreating forces, ensuring the Poles couldn't form a stable defensive line. This combination of mobility, surprise, and relentless pressure turned speed into a lethal weapon, one that shattered Poland's ability to resist in traditional ways. The Polish resistance. Despite being outmatched technologically, Polish forces fought with extraordinary bravery. At Westerplatte, fewer than 200 Polish soldiers held out for 7 days against relentless German attacks from land, sea, and air. At Wisna, a tiny defensive force armed with bunkers and rifles stood against nearly 40,000 German troops. Their resistance earned the nickname the Polish Thermopylae. Across the country, cavalry units fought effectively as mobile infantry, using horses to travel fast and strike German units where vehicles couldn't go. Polish soldiers often delayed German advances long enough to allow civilians and other units to escape. But courage alone couldn't defeat coordination. Germany simply had too many advantages: air superiority, mechanized forces, and uninterrupted communication. While Polish troops were holding one line, German armored columns were already behind them, cutting off supply routes and escape paths. By mid-September, entire Polish divisions were surrounded. The Luftwaffe dominated the skies, bombing retreating units, bridges, and roads. The Poles fought fiercely, but the combination of German mobility and air power made it nearly impossible to form new defensive positions. The Soviet invasion. Just when the situation for Poland seemed catastrophic, it suddenly got worse. On September 17, 1939, the Soviet Union invaded from the east. This move shocked the world, but it wasn't spontaneous. A secret clause in the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, the non-aggression treaty between Hitler and Stalin, had already divided Poland between Germany and the USSR before the war even started. For Poland, this was the final blow. Its army was already stretched thin fighting the Germans. Supplies were low, communication was broken, and many units were isolated. Now, a second superpower attacked from the opposite side, with overwhelming numbers and armor. The Polish government realized that continuing the fight would only result in pointless slaughter. They ordered surviving forces to retreat to Romania, hoping to re-establish a government in exile and continue fighting later. Poland wasn't defeated by a lack of courage or a weak military. It was crushed by two massive invasions coming from opposite directions. Even the bravest soldiers could not stop the combined weight of Germany and the Soviet Union attacking simultaneously. Why Poland fell so fast? Poland's collapse in 1939 wasn't the result of weak resistance. Polish soldiers fought with immense courage and skill. The real reasons lay in coordination, technology, and overwhelming odds. Germany used a fast-moving strategy supported by tanks, aircraft, and chemical stimulants that allowed soldiers to push without rest. This rapid tempo shattered Poland's ability to form new defensive lines. Meanwhile, the Luftwaffe destroyed communication networks and bombed retreating columns, cutting off the mobility Poland desperately needed. Then came the final, devastating blow, the Soviet invasion from the east. With two major powers attacking simultaneously, Poland had no realistic chance to regroup or counterattack. Britain and France declared war on Germany, but didn't launch a meaningful offensive in time to help. Within a month, Poland was conquered and divided between Hitler and Stalin. But even in defeat, the Polish campaign reshaped history. Britain and France had no choice but to fully commit to war. The invasion of Poland officially ignited World War II, a conflict that would engulf the globe and change it forever.